This over here is a completely normal motherboard. You know, a motherboard where nothing's installed, you just put all your things in. This over here is also a motherboard. Different size, but it's normal. There's nothing installed, you just pick your parts in. This over here is an abnormal motherboard. Some of the things are already installed, and the main component, CPU, is soldered to the motherboard. What on earth is going on? Why are these random DIMM slots over there? And why is this actually good? Well, in this video, we're gonna find out, because this might be a genius idea for you, and I can't believe that no one else has thought of this before. Let's go. Licensing Windows is cheap and easy with whokeys.com, and if you use the code TN20, you get an extra discount. Complete the purchase, copy the key, and paste it to the activation settings. And you're all done. Also, check out their Microsoft Office 19 license and use the same code TN20 for the extra discount. Check out whokeys.com in the video description below. Now, I don't just have this motherboard, I actually have something else underneath, which we're gonna take a look at as well, because that's even more weird. This here is by Minisforum, both of them, and if you want to check them out, I'm going to leave the links in the description below. But basically, they've got a CPU already installed, and this ITX form factor motherboard here also has a heatsink installed. So the CPU heatsink installed, you install RAM and an SSD, and then off you go. So let's do exactly that. We need, obviously, a PSU to power this, and for that I've got this Fantex amp. So as you can see, I've already got an SSD installed there. This is the Samsung 990 Pro 1TB NVMe SSD. I've got this DIMM stick here. This is Kingston Fury Impact DDR5, and I've got two of them. This is 64 gigabytes, this kit here, and this is 4800 megahertz in terms of speed. Now, you can actually get faster here as well, but I'm gonna go with something safe, and this is the one I had at hand, but feel free to check them out in the video description below if you want to. Now, before we're gonna plug everything in and make it work, let me show you some of the parts and what's going on this motherboard. So we've got the CPU power connector in there, 8-pin EPS. Then two PCIe slots, M.2, both of them Gen 4 X4 slots. We got a front panel audio on the top right, which is an interesting slot to put it. Usually it's somewhere over there. We've got a CPU fan header there, two system more fan headers on this side, and then an ATX power on this side. Front panel header. If you look close enough, there is no front panel USB-C headers, just type A, which is this one here. Then, as you can see, there is one slot in there. That is for your M.2 for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card. So there is no wireless connectivity installed, but you're gonna have to do that separately, which you can do over there. This slot here is a PCIe Gen 5 X16 slot, and these are DDR5 SODIMM slots in here, by the way. Now, if you look at the motherboard I/O, we've got audio, we've got 2.5 gig LAN, we've got some USB Type A ports, these are 2.0, and then these are 3.0. 5 gigabits in second, HDMI, a display port, USB-C, which should be also a video output, and then a reset button. Now, turning this on is basically very similar to what you're used to. Plug in the power. Now, in order to install the fan, you actually have these brackets inside the case, and you're gonna have to screw them in. Once you install this bracket onto the heatsink, you can put your fan in, because the fan just pops into around these, and you've got another set of screws there that you can screw your fan in. But I'm just gonna leave my fan loose and then just plug in the fan just to there. Now, I've got a Zotac RTX 5080 over there that I'll try to plug in later because it's PCIe Gen 5 slot. But for now, I'm gonna use the integrated graphics just because I don't know how well this is gonna work with all of the drivers and things, how this is gonna work. Okay. Power on here. And then, I guess, are we pressing that? Okay. Your PC needs to be repaired. F1. I can't remember if I had Windows on this SSD or not. Yeah, I don't. So I'm gonna put in my Windows install stick in the back there. Okay, let's do boot. We'll do boot options and we'll do it out of Windows Boot Manager. I didn't know I had Windows on that, but we're just gonna do this. Look at that. It says Ryzen 7945HX. Did I tell you that this CPU is 16 core and 32 thread? I'm just gonna boot. We'll do the boot option one, is that. Okay, let me install Windows and then I'll get back to you. So, Windows is here. We're gonna go to our task manager and you can see the CPU. All 16 cores, 32 threads, all in here. Memory, oh, it was a 32 gigabytes gig, not 64, but 4800 megatransfers. As I said, you're getting 5600 megatransfers per second as well, I believe. Our Samsung 990 Pro and the iGPU that's plugged into there. Now, it's doing some Windows installation in the background, but let me press play on the multi-score and then let's take a look what happens here. CPU package, pulling 100 watts. We're quiet. I mean, look at that. About 66 degrees. Fan is on idle. 31,577 points. That is faster than the second gen Threadripper with 32 cores. Half the cores and this, and we only pulled 100 watts. That Threadripper pulls a lot more than 100 watts. I want to see it again. 100 watts. This CPU that's in there, the 7945HX, is a mobile CPU, okay? It comes from a laptop, but because it's a HX, it's actually unlocked. So we should be able to get even more power out of this. So right now we're getting 31,000 points roughly. Ryzen Master, unfortunately, you can't install it here. Let's go into the BIOS and see if there's Precision Boost Overdrive that we can put on. Oh, Windows updates, come on. By the way, if you enjoy videos like these, hit that subscribe button, like the video, it actually makes a difference. If you want to check out some best bang for buck PC build guides, then check them out in the video description below. I just updated the lowest end budget one as well, and you can get an insane PC build for $750. If there's any questions, then reach out on Minect. I always get back to my Minect messages within 24 hours. While that over there is installing, let me talk about the secondary motherboard here. The secondary motherboard is even more interesting because it is an ATX M or mATX size motherboard. As you can see, you've got a lot more space. It's a little bit bigger, but it doesn't give you anything really that much more. Really, everything on this motherboard is just more laid out. As you can see, front panel audio, we got front panel USB type A ports here that we didn't have on the previous one. 2 system fans, front panel header in here, 2 SATA ports, we didn't have them as well. ATX power, front panel USB 3.0, AIO pump and CPU fan, and then system fan in there. So not much extra, but this here is interesting. Can you see what's happening there? This is the same CPU installed in there, but there's no cooler. But they've just given you LGA 1700 socket holes. So if you wanted to, you can get something like this AIO. This is the Be Quiet Pure Loop 3. It's an insanely overkill cooler, but now we can install it here, which we're going to do. So as you can see, they've got a very interesting kind of a metal slab just slapped on top of the CPU. So you're not gonna just put the cooler on the actual die. And I'm just gonna get it installed. Also, at the time of me making this, there's some discount codes on Amazon for both of these motherboards. If you want to check them out, I'm going to leave the links in the description below. Okay, we're back on the previous motherboard BIOS. Let's go setup, advanced. It's very hard to know what's selected and where you are. Oh, AMD overclocking. Yes, I do accept. Precision Boost Overdrive. We're gonna put this enabled. What's advanced? Oh, PBO limits. We're gonna disable. Let's just disable anything. Okay, the scalar, CPU boost, clock override. As you can see, there's plus 25, thermal throttle, manual, Celsius. Start thermally throttling when we are 95 degrees, okay? Let's just try this. Okay, let's see if we get anything different. Multi-core score, let's go. Any more than 100 watts? Nope. just get 100 watts. 32,000 points, but I think I want to go back to the BIOS to see if I can raise the TDP. It cools it down so well, honestly. This heatsink for 100 watts, it's absolutely fantastic. It's hardly even warm. We just put the precision boost overdrive on. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, I did something wrong now here because the CPU package power is only 18 watts. Okay, now precision boost overdrive is just enabled. Start the multi-core test. 100 watts seems to be just the limit in there. 33,000 points. Okay, so I'm gonna put it on for 10 minutes and let's see if any of the clock speeds are actually gonna go down or not. While the 10 minutes is running on the first one, okay, now I can see that the heat pumps are kind of warm. Fan's still not going 100% speed. Very, very quiet. So this socket has a little plastic over it just to protect it and make sure that this doesn't get, you know, scratch or anything like that. Let's take some thermal paste. This is the Cryonaut. Don't think you actually need it all over, but might as well just. So this here says that these are the LGA 1700 holes, but if I've just mounted the cooler, but look at that. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I don't think the cooler makes a perfect contact. Can you see that? See that? That means that I'm not touching that. That is very odd. So this is a perfect like LGA 1700 socket and none of the screws can go any more tighter. But the cooler needs to go a little bit closer. So I'm not sure how well this is gonna cool. We'll have to see. So we've gone almost 10 minutes now, 100 watts power draw, pulling. And this right here, it's just 75 degrees. The fan, you can hardly hear, it's super quiet. Now, one of the amazing things about this laptop CPU is that often mobile CPUs have a power draw that goes down after a first instant burst and then it kind of goes down. This is solidly 10 minutes straight, 100 watts, no problem. And it's not breaking a sweat. This, how many runs have we done now? 24 passes, it's 76 degrees. It's absolutely incredible. Let's see the score now after 10 minutes. What did we get? 32,555. That is absolutely amazing score. Now, yesterday we got a new driver out for the 50 series. So let's try an RTX 5080 on this as well. This is the beautiful Zotac RTX 5080 Solid. It is beautiful. If you haven't seen this beautiful 5090 build yet, I highly recommend you check that one out. Okay, this should be it. So let's turn it on. The video goes through the GPU. I don't think the Windows driver, we can actually see the 4080 yet. Nope, let's go to downloads. There's a cool fact for you. While we didn't have a driver, the fans were just going boom. Right now, as soon as the driver was installed, boom, the fans went down. Even though this is not like Zotac's utility or anything of Zotac's utility was installed. That's fascinating. Honestly, I'm like installing programs here and just browsing around on the PC. The PC is so snappy. It's just absolutely amazing. Okay, so let's try this. I'm gonna press go on this Fairmark. Our CPU is pulling 43 watts to keep up with these 377 frames that it's trying to pull from this GPU. Let's have a look at the GPU. GPU 360 watts. Okay. Let's open MSI Afterburner. We'll have to go here and we want the 5080 to be here. Power limit. 110%, 11%. Let's see what happens. Go. And what's it doing now? 400 watts. Okay. So this 5080 basically became almost like a baby 4090. Wow, that's quite a lot of OC that it can do on it. It's doing 390 FPS there. Let me see if our core clock speeds, we're just gonna put literally 100 and memory 100 as well. Okay, this is ridiculous. Let me see what happens now. Okay, the FPS there don't come as much really. I don't know what the heck happens now. Let's just try what's this now. Oh, look at that. 94 FPS there. Okay, look at that. 3000 megahertz. Okay, I'm just gonna max both of these sliders out. I don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, okay, it crashed. Oopsie. That's why we have this reset button. Ow. Don't touch the fan. Actually, this is a very interesting thing now. I wanna put this on the cable. What's the cable like in here? Cable seems fine. Seems warm, but not as bad as we've seen some of the other guys' videos. Move all of this around. Interestingly, this mATX motherboard doesn't have a USB-C port. Everything else seems the same, apart from, you know, SATA ports, but there is no USB-C port in the back. Previously, we did have it. So, our same Samsung SSD. This time, the sodium slots are still down. They're not full size, they're just laid down. ARGB, interestingly, we've got no ARGB on this motherboard either. We're just gonna put the AIO pump into there, and then all our fan headers. I'm just gonna populate all of these. Pop the 5080 in there, put that in. Okay, everything should be in. Power on. Okay, we're on. Now, I don't know how well we're making a contact here right now. And I don't know what the BIOS here allows us to do as well. So far, 27, something like that watts. Let's see what happens when we put multi-core on. Are we gonna get more power out of this? Okay, still 100 watts. Can we get any more? 102? 75 degrees, something like that. 76 degrees. It's not a good contact with it. Okay, I don't know if the PBO or anything was on, so I'll go into the BIOS here, and then let's take a look at this motherboard BIOS. By the way, I made a massive mistake earlier on in the video. The M.2 slots on both of these motherboards, they're not PCIe Gen 4 X4. They're PCIe Gen 5 X5. 2 PCIe Gen 5 X5 slots, and then one full-size PCIe Gen 5 X16 slot. So you're gonna get the full power here. Okay, I just enabled PBO in BIOS. So let's have a look if we're gonna get anything more here. This is not, look, we did 102 watts and we got what, 78.8 degrees. Okay, watch, I'm gonna undo this and then hold it down with my hand, and I think I'm gonna get a better cooling here or not. 33,000 points. Do you know how close this is to the desktop variant of 7950X? That's insane CPU power on so small a form factor. It's absolutely insane. It's up. Wow, it's just crazy how good this is. And the fact that you actually get this good of a CPU with the motherboard is mental. Now, I understand that this is not some of the best motherboard features, but if you just purely want some of the basics and get insane CPU performance, wow. Also, if we're looking at the performance per watt, that is incredible. Okay, let's try this. Multi-core score, and then this. Let me try one more time. A hand press. Yeah, the contact with the cooler is not particularly best on this motherboard, because that 78 or 79, look at that, 33,200 points basically on Cinebench. Oh my goodness, that's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. Do you know what I should do? I should install salad in here and then chop salad for the next 24 hours. Let's see what happens. So, in conclusion, what can we say about these two motherboards? I think they're absolutely fantastic. Just offering you a very interesting DIY option to get really good performance per watt, especially if you're looking for these small ITX cases where desktop CPUs are pulling too much power. But here, with this, you can actually save quite a bit in terms of power draw and cooling. Quite a lot of this is already installed, especially the ITX one. I think that looks very interesting because you just need a fan, you're done. Just bob's your ankle, go for it, and it's really, really interesting. I'm super happy that these things exist. Let me know how you would like to use it, utilize this. I would love to know from you in the comment section below. And if you want to pick any of these up, the links are in the description below. Thanks guys for watching. Bye-bye.